So this is my spoiler review of Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, before I go into this movie, please, if you do not want to be spoiled to this movie, and this will be released on Sunday, but if you don't want this movie to be spoiled for you, if you have not seen the movie yet, please come back to this movie review. For now, don't watch it until you've seen the movie. But for now, let's talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. For me, this movie is a culmination of all the stories from the original Spider-Man, from the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi, to Andrew Garfield, Mark Webb, to up to now, Tom Holland, John Watts. Man, let's talk about, though, the first half of the movie, though. So Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War, those movies, when there was moments like when Infinity War, when Thor showed up, and in Endgame, when everyone showed up at the end, the whole theater went crazy. Everybody went crazy. And I thought we would never have that kind of moment again. And all the other Marvel movies, Avengers and Age of Ultron, all of them, I thought we would never have that moment again. But let me tell you something. I dare near say that the moment where Matt Murdock shows up, and when Toby and Andrew show up, and also when they go running off after having a game plan to fight the villains like Lizard, Sandman, and Electro, and everyone was cheering that on. But let me tell you something. When Matt Murdock showed up, the second he just does it with this little cane thing, his blonde cane thing, he's like, man, I tell you what, the whole theater just screamed like it was like at the end of a Super Bowl when the quarterback's about to do his last Hail Mary to win the game, and he actually gets it. I mean, it was like that. It was just the whole theater just. I think the theater might have shook a little bit. It was just a wave of screaming. It was like you're in high school and you're in a pep rally and they tell you to scream. It was just that crazy. And but yeah, I mean, Tom Holland, man, I love him as an actor. I've seen him in all the Spider-Man movies and all the other movies he's done. The one with he did with Robert Pattinson, which I think it was an amazing movie. Man, he kills it. He brings his A game to this movie. And I feel like the one problem I had with the other two movies he did is that I felt like it wasn't a Peter Parker Spider-Man kind of solely him kind of movie, him going through the ringer, kind of just that typical Spider-Man movie would get and all the ones we've had before. But this movie, I feel like it did that, but did it 10 times better than I think all the other Spider-Man movies they ever did. Now, I love Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Is probably my number one or number two before Spider-Man 2. But this Spider-Man, for me, is probably going to be my number one. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to go see it again to really try to soak in everything and try to get every part of it. I mean, there's parts, like I feel like the first couple minutes of the movie where they're trying to catch up, a lot of dialogue. Felt like it was a little fast paced, a little bit too fast paced, little not clunky, but it was just a little, it's like zigzag kind of, and it was like, okay, if you're not in the house of watching the other movies, you won't understand. But it wasn't a big deal. But overall, I loved how this movie was delivering on all factors. This movie, like the part where Peter Parker, and this is a Peter Parker story, and how Peter Parker basically was trying to, he literally beat Doctor Strange in a way, and he tried to cure these villains, with the chip that Doc has, and he actually does it. And then the fact that he tries to, fix Electro, Sandman, and he could have done it if it wasn't for Goblin going into his dark personality. He has like a split personality disorder, if you will. It's like a problem, and he goes into that Goblin personality, and goes downhill from there. And let me tell you something. I literally teared up let me tell you something. Tom Holland's acting, how he delivered, and the face he shows when Aunt May's about to die, and I was tearing up because it wasn't Aunt May dying. It was the face reaction of Tom and what he was performing, how I delivered it, and the fact that also Happy, man. And I thought they were going to kill him too, but thank God he didn't. But But let's get to the part that I really loved about this movie. Everything was great. Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, I love that scene. Everyone went nuts in the theater when they showed up, when Ned did the whole portal, Doctor Strange thing. And I tell you, the fight scene, getting to see Toby wearing the original Spider-Man suit again on the big screen again, and Andrew Garfield. It was just, the whole thing was just, I loved it. I loved how we got more swinging in this movie in New York City. I love how we got to have more of the New York City involved in the Spider-Man movies. I liked the action. I think the action was very well delivered. There was a lot of fan service, but the great thing about fan service in this film is that it served the story. If you can have fan service, but if it serves the story, you're fine. But if it doesn't, then it kind of gets out of nowhere. But, John Watts did an amazing job. Not daring to say we can have that conversation later if this is probably one of the best superhero trilogies of all time. Not saying better than Dark Knight. Not saying that. There's a lot of movies that are probably higher than that. But come on. And after seeing this movie, I'm very excited and very hyped to see what he does for the Fantastic Four. If you don't know, he's up to direct the Marvel Family Fantastic Four movie later on. So I'm very excited to see what he does, and especially seeing him how he does with multiple characters. Because for so long, like in the MCU, we've only known the Russo brothers to really pull that off. But man, John Watts, I think he does it better than even the Russo brothers, in my opinion, because he takes all these characters that have so much backstory, that has so much to do. And I feel like some of the villains, like, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, I liked him more in this film than I actually did in Spider-Man 2. In Green Goblin, he did an amazing job. Willem Dafoe, man, he actually brings his A game with this. It's like he was ready to go. It's like a lot of these villains, when a lot of these actors that played these villains, like Jamie Foxx, like, it's like, it was like they played them yesterday and they came back to play them again. It was just so good. And, but the one important thing I want to push, and I love the shout out to the nod to Miles Morales, and and I noticed that when the Sandman lost his powers and the Lizard lost his powers, I see they actually reused some of the other footage from the past movies. So I kind of okay, so they must have had some other voice actor for this movie, and they just basically did CGI. That's why Sandman was pretty much in sand form, and Lizard was kind of still in Lizard. But anyway, the one thing, sorry, I got a drink. I'm going crazy with this. This movie, the great thing about this movie is that it's filled with emotions, action, and great storytelling. If you can get all that in one movie and have so much with that and able to pull that off and deliver it really well, masterpiece. This is going to be held up. This movie was in the making. It's going to happen one way or another. If you look at old superhero movies and see how campy and corny they were, leading up to now, and seeing how this movie really, it's more than a superhero movie. Like, this movie is, I damn near say, it made, because there's questions about if superhero movies could be taken seriously. And this movie, I feel like, was the answer to that, because it really shows that superhero movies can hold their own. Is that these movies can tell a story because they're human stories, and just so happens they have powers. And the scene where after he loses Aunt May and he's looking on to the board, basically J. Jonah Jameson, felt like came straight from the comics, and J. Jonah Jameson trying to blame everything on Peter, and just the face and the reaction of his face, and how it's very numb at that point and just full of emotions. You can just tell in his eyes, and how it kept going, panning back and forth from his face to showing the big screen and him on the roof, and it's raining. I love that. But the most important thing I loved about this was the fact that we got the Spider-Man that we've been waiting for. The Spider-Man that has his own apartment. He's alone. And, I love the fact that he actually did not try to reconnect with his friends, and that he's kind of staying off to himself, and that he's in his, I know it sounds dark and gloomy, but Spider-Man is one of those heroes like Batman where they're not meant to win. They're meant to suffer, but try to do the right thing and the good. It's like us. It's us. We try to do the right thing and we suffer through it sometimes. And, the scene we get when he's in the apartment, he makes his own suit, which I love. Now I actually thought he actually made the suit from the comics, the Parker Industries suit we see in 2015 with the green glow logo on there and the eyes. Man, and I love the little nod to Hawkeye a little bit because that's the same hotel. I forgot the Holiday Inn, whatever. But overall, this movie for me, I really loved. And that scene where he's in that apartment, when he gets to the apartment, the guy says, "Make sure you make the rent on time." And I kind of, I felt like the PS4 Spider-Man a little bit. That kind of felt like that a little bit. And this whole movie was just an amazing movie, a culmination of everything that came up to that point. That it really, like I said in my non-spoiler review, is I felt like this movie was being written the whole time, like it was in the making for years, and that it's not just a great Spider-Man movie, not just a great superhero movie, not just a great MCU movie. It's a damn near great movie, and you have literally reviewers that are like Ridley Scott that don't even care for superhero movies, and they're giving Rotten Tomato scores to the highest and reviewing this movie and loving this movie, and they don't even like superhero movies. And the fact that this movie, I sound like I'm going crazy, but I love this movie. It delivered not just a superhero movie, not the fact that I waited for 3 years to see the confirmation of Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox is Matt Murdock, a Daredevil. Not just that, not just the fact that we got Toby and Andrew and all the greatest villains in one movie, a Spider-Verse movie, and how well it was delivered and acted from Zendaya to Tom Holland, the director, the soundtrack, the score of this movie. Not just not how it was just edited, not all the emotions. This is what superhero movies should live up to. It's what these movies should live up to, not to the fall short into what it was before. This is the evolution of superhero movies and what they're about to become, and how they hold their own, and how these just as big and important as any other cinematic movie ever. But yeah. Yeah, so I couldn't do this in 3 minutes on TikTok, you can see. But so rating wise, like I said, my non-spoiler, I'll give it a 9.9. There were some choices like the happy thing. I feel like that kind of, there's some plot holes in this movie, like how, okay, if Spider-Man is still existed, if he's known for the Avengers and all that, so I guess they don't know his identity. But there still doesn't make any, there's some things that don't make plot hole sense. It doesn't make any sense. But overall, they're smaller, like small problems. But I would give this a rating of a 9.8 out of 10. I really love this movie. Recommend it. If you're not a superhero fan, you're going to still love this movie. If you're a Spider-Man fan like me that's grew up being a Spider-Man fan and have a crap ton of comics and Spider-Man comics, if you're just a movie fan, if you just love, it's just a movie just to love. It's beyond superhero. So I recommend this movie 100%. And yeah, so go check out this movie. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also follow on my TikTok channel, YouTube, TikTok profile. And thank you for watching. And yeah, and that's my review of Spider-Man No Way Home. And one more thing. Let's talk about the fact that the symbiote suit is teased. Even though Venom went back, Eddie went back, but the symbiote piece of it stayed behind, which is setting up the next Spider-Man movie. But also the post-credit scene for Doctor Strange. No one's talking about this, how they actually brought in a what if character from the What If series, the Supreme Doctor Strange. He's actually in the trailer. And I was like, holy crap. And then talk about also the crowd going crazy in the theater. When Wanda showed up, oh my God. I didn't realize how much people are paying attention to the Disney MCU stuff. Like, everyone went crazy when they saw Wanda. And when Doctor Strange, the Dark Doctor Strange Supreme showed up, I was like, no way. It was just like, there's so much in this movie to digest. I still haven't digested this movie, But I love this movie. Love Spider-Man. Love Marvel. Shout out to Stan Lee. Shout out to Steve Ditko for bringing this character to life, and so many other comic book characters that did also as well. So yeah, and like Jack Kirby and all of them. So thank you for watching. This is my review. I'm gonna go see Spider-Man No Way Home again. So yeah, so thank you for watching, and yeah, see you soon.